Hey everyone, welcome to episode 2 of the Uppercut DFS podcast. I'm with my partner Andrew, who's going to be going over this weekend's card, UFC on ESPN 5, Lawler versus Covington. I'm sure he's excited as he always is to break down the card. Anyway, before we continue, if you could leave a like, subscribe to the channel, I'd really appreciate that. You can also hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on any of the new videos coming out. And you can also follow us on Twitter at Crispinel16 and at nut_DFS. That is Andrew's Twitter handle. And he also has his own YouTube channel where he posts videos. I can put that in the link in the description below. And also, we have a Patreon set up where you can get access to some extra content. Andrew puts together a cheat sheet. I know he puts a lot of hours in it each and every week, breaking down the entire fight. Puts a lot of hours into that. He's got his target sheet. We have a Slack chat where you can ask him questions throughout the week and all day. He answers questions pretty much all day. You can bother him as much as you want, and he'll be happy to talk to you and answer all of your questions. He posts an example cash game lineup, which is cashing near 90%. We did have a little bit of a down week last week, but you win 10 in a row, you lose 1. Not complaining about that. He posts his GPP lineup exposures in there, his favorite bets of the week. He had a really nice parlay last week, and he does his rankings for each fighter. But I will let Andrew do a little intro so he doesn't feel left out. So, what's up?
What's up, guys? My name is Andrew. Some of you know me as Thunder at DFS. Very excited for this week. This card's okay. I like it a little bit. I actually like the main card a lot. Seeing a lot of people saying this card sucks and all that, but I actually don't mind it. I think the main card's really strong. The prelims are okay. I didn't really like the card last week. I actually prefer this card a little bit better, which seems crazy because last week was a pay-per-view. But Covington, Lawler, you can't really complain with that, and I'm very excited. Had a little bit of a down week last week. Missed the cashing lineup by about 6 points, I believe. It was crazy. So hopefully bouncing back this week, and very excited to make some money.
Awesome. And also, I will mention that Slack chat is like on fire during the fight weekend. I have to mute it because I'm not really into UFC, and you guys are just going absolutely insane all weekend. So if you're just looking for some fun to hang out in the chat, that's a really good spot to be in. All right, so anyway, let's get into the fight-by-fight breakdown. I'm just going to go through orders, fight 1 to, I believe, 12. And then Andrew's going to give his breakdown, and I'm just going to do a little intro of the fight. So let's get into it right now. Our first fight, we have Lauren Murphy versus Mara Romero Barella. I apologize if I butcher any of these names. Again, I'm not into the UFC. I'm just hosting this. Murphy is coming in at a plus 165 underdog, and Mara is coming in at a negative 190 favorite. Lauren Murphy is coming in at a plus 650 in the inside the distance line, and Mara is coming in at plus 440. So it doesn't look like this fight's going to go to the finish. So what is your opinions on this fight?
I'm probably gonna fade this fight on DraftKings, honestly. Lauren Murphy's 2-5 in the UFC. She doesn't really have power. She's pretty tough and never has been finished, but she is 36 years old, so she's really getting up there in age. Barella's 2-1 in the UFC. She does have a questionable chin, but she really shouldn't have to worry about that here with Murphy, who doesn't have much power. And she should be the more aggressive fighter here and the faster fighter. So I do like her to win this fight. I like her to win by decision. And as for DraftKings, I don't really like her on DraftKings. I think she's too expensive. She's 8,700 on DraftKings. I don't think she's going to pay that off. I can see her scoring around 70, around there. But I do like her to win. I'm probably going to bet her, and I'm probably going to bet her, but probably not going to play her on DraftKings at all. And as for Murphy, I think she could be an okay cash game with a nice little floor. I don't think she's going to finish. But I'm personally not going to play her in cash. I'm personally probably going to fade this fight altogether. I just don't see it scoring high. I think there's so many more options in the 8K range, and also I think there's a lot better underdogs than Murphy.
Sounds pretty boring, like a boring fight. Is that your kind of opinion on that? Okay. All right, so on to fight 2. We have Matt Schnell at 8K versus Jordan Espinosa at 8,200. Espinosa is a slight favorite at negative 125, and Schnell is plus 105. So not too much of an underdog, but he still is an underdog. The inside the distance lines are very close for these guys. Schnell at plus 365 and Espinosa at plus 350. So who you got in this fight?
Yeah, another fight I'm not really excited about. I think this is going to decision. Both these fighters don't really score well on DraftKings, especially Schnell. And if somebody's going to score high, it's going to be due to like a knockout. And the only person I can see getting knocked out is Schnell. Schnell got knocked out in his first 2 UFC fights back to back, so he has been proven chinny. He did win in a first-round submission his last fight. He only has 2 career knockouts, so the power's not really there. But he does have 7 career submissions, and he's definitely the more technical fighter. So if this does go to decision, I could favor Schnell a little bit. But Espinoza's never been knocked out. He's the more durable fighter, and he's the faster and more powerful fighter. So I do think he has that knockout upside. And if I was to play anybody in this fight, I think it'd be Espinoza due to the fact that Schnell is a little bit chinny. So I don't mind playing Espinoza a little bit. I'm not going to go like really high on him or anything, but if I would play anybody, it'd be Espinoza. I could see Schnell maybe squeaking out a decision, but altogether this fight's really close. I don't really think you need this fight. This is 2 submission artists going against each other, which usually ends up in a stand-up battle. So I'm going to probably lean with Espinoza to maybe get a knockout here late 3rd round because Schnell is a little bit chinny there. But altogether, I'm not really high on this fight.
All right, I'm excited to see what your thoughts are in this next fight because it actually looks like one of the better chances of a knockout. We have Claudio Silva at 9,400, coming in at a -450 favorite, -160 inside the distance line. So Vegas has this being an early exit for Cole Williams, who is 6,800 on DraftKings, +360 underdog, and +480 inside the distance line. So what are your thoughts on this fight?
Yeah, there should be an early exit, but it's not going to be a knockout. It's going to be a submission. Silva just an absolute animal on the ground. Cole Williams has been fighting garbage cans, and he's on short notice replacement. I believe on like a week notice. He's on a 9-fight win streak against, like I said, trash cans. He was submitted in his only loss, which is really concerning. His cardio is pretty bad, and like I said, he's taken on a 1-week notice, so I'm guessing his cardio is not going to be very good at all. And Silva has a very good chin, which is going to help him a lot in this fight because Cole Williams' only path to victory would be maybe a knockout. I don't see him winning a decision at all, and I definitely do not see him submitting Silva. But Silva's cardio is questionable as well. But like I said, he's amazing on the ground. If this fight gets to the ground once, it's over a couple, maybe a minute or less later. And Silva is also on a 13-fight win streak, and I do not think that streak ends here with Cole Williams. Silva is 9,400 on DraftKings. I don't mind that. I think I'd rather go down 100 and play Holtzman or go down 400 and play Covington. But I'll definitely have him in some lineups because I do think he's getting a submission. But I don't think he really scores that high on DraftKings. I think his highest was a little over 100, and his other fights were like in the 80s and 90s. So if you want a 9,400 guy, you want him to score in the hundreds, and he's only done that once, I believe. So I'll have him in a little bit of lineups, but I'm not going to go all in or anything, and I do think there's some better options.
You said this isn't going to be a knockout. Silva's more of a wrestler?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, fight 4, we have Scott Holtzman at 9,300. He's a -450 favorite, +110 inside the distance line, going against Dong Hyun Ma at 6,900, +360 odds, and +526 inside the distance line. And during our pre-show, you said Holtzman's one of your favorite fighters, if not your favorite, so I'm sure you're excited to talk about this fight.
Yeah, Holtzman at 9,300. He has to be probably the first or second best play on the board here. He's fighting Ma, which Ma got knocked out in the first round of his last fight. I just don't think Ma's very good at all. I think Holtzman's very good. I think he has wrestling upside, takedown upside, and also knockdown upside. So I can see him getting maybe a couple takedowns and ending up finishing Ma on the ground, something like that, or even catching him on the feet. Either way, I see Holtzman finishing Ma. I see Holtzman surpassing 100 points here, and I'm going to be going against Ma again. I went against Ma in his last fight when he got knocked out in the first round. That worked out very well for me. I'm going to do it here again. I wish Holtzman was a little bit lower in price, but $9,300 is going to be worth it for sure when he gets that knockout. Or I can even see him just a dominating decision, takedowns after takedowns, and getting over 100 points that way. But I definitely think it's going to be a knockout. I think first or second round after he gets a couple takedowns, maybe a knockdown, something like that. But I do love Holtzman a lot, and I'm playing Zero Ma.
All right, cool. Fight 5, we have Trevin Giles either or. He is 8,500, negative 160 favorite, and a plus 122 inside the distance line versus Gerald Meerschaert at 7,700. He is a underdog at plus 140 and a plus 248 inside the distance line. So who you got in this one?
Officer Giles. Yeah, I like Giles a good amount, but I do like both sides of this fight. Giles lost his last fight in the third round. Got caught and then got submitted. I had a lot of them his last fight, so that was very bad for me. He was actually looking decent, but he wasn't looking as good as I thought he was going to look, and then ended up just getting knocked out. Knocked down and submitted. But Giles is really good. He's really good on the ground, really good wrestling. And I think if he won his last fight, I don't think he'd be this close of a line here. I think the line would be so much wider. I think we'd see Giles at like in the 9,000 price tag if he did win his last fight, but he got knocked down and submitted there. So I'm back on Giles again. Giles has lots of power, huge knockout upside, especially against a guy like Meerschaert, who's not very good on the feet. But Meerschaert only has been knocked out once by Thiago Santos, and as you guys know, huge knockout threat. So I'm going to play both sides of this. Meerschaert, if he wins, it's going to probably be by submission, probably get a couple takedowns, and once he gets Giles down, maybe submits him there on the ground. But I think Giles is the more athletic fighter, the bigger fighter. I think he can probably stuff some takedowns and definitely way better on the feet and possibly get a knockout here. Yeah, like I said, I'm probably going to play both sides of this fight, but I am leaning towards Giles to get a knockout here. But if Meerschaert does win, it's going to be high scoring, so I definitely recommend playing both sides.
Yeah, I was looking at the stats on this fight, and they both have finish rates above 90%, so that should be pretty interesting. So at fight 6, we have Valentina Shevchenko versus she is 8,600. She's a negative 145 favorite, plus 525 in the inside the distance line. Facing off versus Lucy Pudilova at 7,600. She's a slight dog at plus 125. Inside the distance line at plus 515. So judging by Vegas, it looks like this one's going the distance. So what are your thoughts on this?
Another fight I'm not going to really target on DraftKings. Probably going to fade it altogether on DraftKings. But I do like Shevchenko a lot in this fight. Pudilova's only path to victory is if she uses her wrestling, which she has 0 takedowns in the UFC, so she hasn't proven to use her wrestling. I do not expect her to use it here. Shevchenko is just the better striker all around, the better fighter on the feet. The only way she'd lose if Pudilova would try to wrestle, but I don't think it's going to happen. So I do like Shevchenko a lot, but I like this more as like a bet. I'm going to bet Shevchenko. Probably not going to play on DraftKings. I don't see her knocking out Pudilova. Shevchenko doesn't really show crazy power, nothing like that. But I can see her just squeaking out like a 29-20 decision here, just beating Pudilova up on the feet a little bit. Just like a point fighting, striking battle here. And Pudilova, I don't think I'm going to play her at all. She doesn't really win decisions, and she doesn't really have crazy knockout power, so I don't really see a path to victory here. Like I said, unless she uses her wrestling, which she hasn't her whole UFC career. So I'm definitely leading Shevchenko to get a decision and win here. And I'm not going to play it on DraftKings probably. I just don't think she's going to – I think she's going to score maybe 60, 70. I don't think she's going to be on the winning lineup. So I think it's an easy fade of a fight for me, and I'm just going to bet it, and I'm going to bet Shevchenko to win.
Cool. So Shevchenko, much better betting play than DraftKings play. Fight 7, we got Salom Atri at 8,300, negative 120 favorite, plus 180 inside the distance line, versus Mickey Gall at 7,900, plus 100 underdog, and plus 200 inside the distance line. So what do you got in this one?
Man, this is a crazy fight. Both these guys are very, very bad. Mickey Gall got destroyed by Diego Sanchez in his last fight. Mickey Gall does have some pretty sneaky power, though, but he does have no knockouts in his career, and he has finished all of his wins by submission, which is absolutely insane. He has a 100% finish rate, and all of them are by submission. Sahari did get dropped in his last fight. He has 6 career knockouts. He has decent takedown defense, and he is at American Top Team, so that's nice to hear there. But he does have low volume. And like I said, both these guys are very bad. But I'm just going to lean Gall ever so slightly. I don't really want to lean Gall here, but I'm going to have to, just to the fact that Tahari has low volume. I think Gall is going to come to fight. He's gonna bring the pressure, and if he does land a takedown, I think he can get the submission. He has 3 rounds, maybe land a takedown and get the submission. If he cannot get that takedown, I can see him losing the fight for sure, maybe losing a decision. I'm not too sure if this fight's going to go to the distance or not. I think if it is finished, I think it's going to be Gall. Like I said, he's 100% finish rate by submission. So if he does get Tahari down, I think he can get that submission. I think he's going to be kind of a sneaky play. I don't think many people are on Gall. I haven't been hearing many people on him, so I think it's going to be kind of sneaky. And as for Tahari, I'm probably going to have a little bit of him because I do think this is a fight you're going to want to target a little bit. 8,300, I'm not going to be on him too high. He does have an 80% finish rate. So, yeah, I think this should be definitely a fight that you should target. But, yeah, I'm just going to lean Gall. I'm going to lean him by submission. Probably first round submission. Once he gets that takedown, I think he'll be over shortly after, and I think Tahari's going to go 0-3 in the UFC.
All right, fight 8. We have Darko Stosic at 8,400. Slight favorite, -130, and a plus inside the distance line of plus 135 versus Kennedy and Sheku at 7,800, plus 110 underdog, plus 185 inside the distance line. This fight looks pretty interesting. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, it's pretty interesting for sure. I've been going back and forth on this all week. It's going to be a very close fight. I'm probably going to play both sides of this. Njoku was winning his last fight. I had him. He was like 9,000 on DraftKings his last fight. He was facing Paul Craig, and Paul Craig submitted him in the 3rd round. I believe he took Paul Craig down, and Paul Craig threw up like an arm bar or something in the 3rd round. He's winning the fight, all 3 rounds, dominating. But Craig got that lucky 3rd round finish, which sucked because I was really high on Njoku there. But he's going to have a huge height and huge reach advantage. I think he's 6'5", and from Africa, so he's an athletic freak here. He does have 4 knockouts and 6 wins, but a lot of those were against a bunch of garbage cans. So you haven't really seen him prove himself in the UFC yet. He lost to probably the worst fighter in the UFC, Paul Craig, but that's what Paul Craig does. He submits people last second. And as for Stosic, he has 8 career knockouts. He's the better grappler for sure. But he does have very, very low output. But when he does throw, they're very hard strikes. So I think if he does land clean on Kennedy here, I think he can knock him out. But if he does not knock him out, I think Kennedy's going to cruise his way to a ugly, low-scoring decision here probably. But I am leaning Stosic a little bit to the fact that Kennedy has not really proven himself in the UFC. And I think if Stosic does land, Kennedy's never felt power like that. And when he does feel that power, I think he's going to get knocked down, knocked out. And once he gets on the mat, Kennedy's not very good on the mat. So if Stosic wants to take him down, that'd be a great game plan here. But I do see him landing that big shot and knocking Kennedy out. I think Kennedy Njoku is going to be very high owned on DraftKings because he's not a bad play. He's a very good athlete. I just don't think he's really proven himself yet. And Stosic is a pretty decent fighter here. So I am leaning Stosic, but I'm going to play both sides of this. I don't really see Kennedy knocking Stosic out because Kennedy Njoku does not really throw with power. He just throws little jabs and little shots with not much power on him. So if I was to play somebody on this one, it would be Stosic. I'm probably not going to go all in this fight. I don't know if it's going to score that high, but I'm definitely going to have a little bit more Stosic than Njoku.
All right, let's go to fight 9. We have Hannah Goldie at 8,800. She is a -135 favorite, plus 320 inside the distance line, going against Miranda Granger at 7,400. She is a plus 115 underdog and a plus 360 inside the distance line. So who you got here?
Yeah, first I was kind of writing off this fight. I was thinking about not playing it at all. But the more I looked into it, Granger I believe she's 6-0 with 6 submissions, something like that. And she won 3 of her last fights in the first round. She has the reach and height advantage. And to win this fight, she really needs the pressure and tire out Goldie. Goldie's huge. She looks like a bodybuilder out there. She's a faster and more aggressive fighter. She is 5-0. and she throws with a lot of power. So I think there's knockout upside, and I think this is going to be a sneaky fight to target on DraftKings. Like I said, I was writing it off at first, but the more I look into it, Granger I don't think has been to decision yet in her career. So I do like the dog a little bit on this one because she has crazy submission ability. I think if she can tire out Goldie and get that submission, that'll be great. That'll pay off her value for sure. Yeah, Granger's 7,400, so a submission would absolutely blow the cap off her value. And as for Goldie, I'm going to play a little bit of her. I was hesitant at first, but I'm going to take a few stabs at her because I do think she has some knockout upside. Like I said, Granger hasn't been to decision yet, so maybe she won't go to decision this time. And if she doesn't, and if this fight ends inside the distance, it will be a heck of a fight to target on DraftKings because I think it is going to be low owned. I think I can see both these girls coming in at very low ownership. Maybe not so much Granger because she's 7,400 and a nice dog play there. But haven't really seen too much love on Granger. But I think if she can get Goldie down, which I don't know how easy that's going to be because Goldie's so big and strong. So, but if she can get her down, I think she could possibly get a submission. And at 7,400, I'm willing to pay that and find out.
All right, let's go on to fight 10. We have Nasrat Hakparast at 9,100, negative 255 favorite, which is pretty substantial compared to a lot of these people. Plus 205 inside the distance line. Facing off versus Joaquim Silva at 7,100, plus 215 underdog, and plus 490 inside the distance. So what do we got here?
Another fight I'm going to want to target on DraftKings because either one of these guys are going to score high, whoever wins here. Hakparast is definitely faster with the better footwork. I think he's the better overall fighter. He throws with lots of volume, which you're going to want out of your fighters. But Silva, he has a huge ground advantage here. If he can take Hakparast down, get him on the mat, he has a huge advantage. Hakparast, a couple fights ago, he took a whole round laying on the ground, was like a fish out of water on the ground. So if Silva can do that to him, maybe take a round on the ground, that'd be awesome. And Silva hits extremely hard. So if he does connect on Hakparast, he could definitely knock him out. I do not think this fight, if this fight goes to decision, I think Hakparast is going to win with volume. I don't really see Hakparast knocking Silva out. It's possible, but I think Hakparast can pay off that 9,100 price tag if it does go to decision with all the volume he's throwing. And if Silva does win, I think it's going to be by knockout. I do not see him winning decision. So Silva at 7,100, I think is a great play, a great pump play. I'm going to be playing a good amount of them because I do think he's getting a little bit underrated here. I think the line should be a lot closer here, especially if he implements that wrestling game, which I'm not really expecting him to do, but it's possible. He has it in his back pocket for sure. I think he can possibly knock him out here as well. But yeah, I'm going to target both these guys here. I think they're both fantastic plays. Probably going to go 100% on this fight. Maybe try to get as much Hakparast as I can and then balance it out with a couple Silvas for a good pump play. But regardless, I think one of these guys are going to be on the winning lineup. And Silva is my favorite pump play and definitely one of my favorite dog plays as well.
All right, cool. Let's get on to fight 11. I have a question. Is this a co-main event?
Co-main event, yep.
Okay, co-main event. We have Jim Miller, 8,900. Negative 150 favorite, plus 201 inside the distance line, going off, facing off versus Clay Guida, 7,300, plus 130 underdog, plus 505 inside the distance line. So what do you got here?
This fight would have been awesome if it was about 10 years ago. Now it's just a couple guys that are at the ends of their careers. So it makes this fight pretty tough to call. Miller has submission upside. Guida's been submitted 9 times in his career. But Guida's going to bring the pressure and pace, and I think Jim Miller can lose a decision here if he doesn't get the finish. This fight's really close. A lot of money's coming in on Guida, so I think there's going to be a lot of people on him. The line's closing up. I don't think it's going to close up any more than it is, but I see Guida pressuring him, putting the pace on him. He's not going to try to get takedowns or nothing. He's going to try to keep this on the feet. If this does go to the mat, I think it's going to be over shortly after. I think Guida's submission defense is absolutely awful, and Miller is a really good submission threat. So this can go one of two ways. Jim Miller is going to submit Guida, or Guida's gonna get probably a decision here. But man, I'm gonna lean Jim Miller here ever so slightly to get the submission. I think that if this goes to the mat one time, I think it's gonna be over shortly after. And both these guys are pretty decent. Like I said, they're at the ends of their careers, but they're still got a little bit left in the tank. But Guida's been slowing down a lot, and Miller looked absolutely fantastic in his last fight, and Guida looked okay in his last fight. So, and Miller's also fighting in his hometown, which is worth a mention. And I do believe he's going to retire after this fight, is the rumor I heard. So I think he's going to want to go out with a bang. I think he can get a submission here. If he gets Guida to the ground, the submission's there. And for 8,900, I don't really like that for Miller. I'd probably honestly rather play the dog. I think if Guido wins, it's going to be volume-based. I don't think he's going to score all that much, maybe 75, 80 points if Guido gets the win. If Miller gets the win, if it's in the first round, yeah, he's going to hit value, but I'm not really going to bank on that. I think if he does get the finish, it's going to be maybe later in the fight. Just hard to bank on a first-round submission, and if he doesn't get that first-round submission, all the value's gone right away because Miller doesn't really throw with much volume, at least not the volume Guida does. So if I was to play anybody in this, I play Guida, but I'm also not going to fade Miller completely. I'm going to have a little bit of him, but this fight's not really interesting from a DraftKings perspective at all.
All right, and finally, let's get on to our main event. We have Colby Covington at 9,100, negative 235 favorite, plus 186 in the inside the distance line versus Robbie Lawler at 7,200, plus 195 underdog, and a plus 280 inside the distance line. Now, is this a main event you're excited for?
Yeah, I'm pretty excited about this main event.
All right, then. What are your thoughts on that?
Okay. Covington is a great wrestler. He has huge takedown upside. 5-round fight, so we're going to get a lot of takedowns here. But Lawler's takedown defense is not bad at all. If he can stop some of these takedowns, which is going to be pretty tough, I think he can possibly knock out Covington. So I am going to play both sides of this, but I am leading Covington. And I also did bet Covington here. I'm pretty confident he's going to win. Lawler has a knockout chance here. And if Covington can just pressure Robbie the whole time, get takedowns, I don't see any reason why Covington shouldn't lose unless he does get knocked out. But Covington hasn't been knocked out his whole career, and I don't think it's going to happen now. Lawler is on the decline in his career. He's getting up there in age. I believe he's, I'm going to say 35, 36 years old, somewhere around there. So I do think he's on the decline. He did lose last fight against Ben Askren in a fight, which really sucked because I was on Lawler a lot. And then he lost by a bulldog choke, which he didn't tap or anything, which really sucks because he was so close to finishing Askren. But Covington is a lot better than Askren, a lot better wrestler, a lot stronger, and 10, 20 times better hands than Askren here. So I think Covington's going to win here. I think he's going to get probably between 7 to 10 takedowns here in a 5-round fight. If he tires Lawler out here, he can get takedowns definitely in the later rounds because Covington's not going to stop. His cardio is not going to stop. He's not going to stop all fight. So just wear Robbie out here, get a bunch of takedowns. I do see him scoring over 100 points in a win here. Do not see him finishing Lawler. So if there is going to be a finish here, it's going to be Lawler knocking out Covington, which would suck really bad. But I'm going to have a few shares of Lawler. I'm probably going to say 70-30 Covington Lawler, 70% Covington, 30% Lawler. And I did place a pretty decent sized bet on Covington. So I am pretty confident he's going to win as long as he doesn't get knocked out.
All right, that's going to do it for our fight-by-fight breakdown. We're going to get into some of the questions section that I have for myself, and which I believe the listeners would have too. So just to help you guys out, I'm going to be asking the questions you probably have. So the questions I have for Andrew, first off, who are your core plays on DraftKings?
My core plays is Colby Covington, 9,000. I just think he's going to easily pay off that price tag in a win here with takedowns and all that. And then next is Trevin Giles, 8,500. I think there's huge knockout upside, and I see a lot of people on Mearshark, so I think we can get him under 20% here. And when he does get that knockout, It's going to be really awesome to have him at such a low ownership. But it is a little bit risky, so I'm not going to go all in or anything. But he definitely is somebody I'm going to be looking at in most of my lineups. And then Scott Holtzman, a dude I'm going to be trying to put in as much lineups as I can. 9,300. I just not see him losing at all. I see knockout upside. I see takedown upside. I can see him being the highest scorer on the slate, maybe close to Colby Covington. And then my next core play is Darko Stosic, which is a kind of a risky play here, but he's somebody I'm going to be looking at in most of my lineups here. I just think he's the better fighter than Njoku, and I think he can possibly get a knockout here. And when he does, I think it's going to be at pretty low ownership because I've seen a lot of people on Kennedy. But like I said, I will be playing both sides of that fight.
All right. Do you have any live dogs?
Live dogs. Jerome Mearshark, he's always a live dog in all of his fights. If he does get to the mat, he could probably pull out a submission here. Probably, but I think Giles is going to keep it on the feet here and eventually knock him out. That's what I'm thinking. But if it does get to the mat, yeah, I think he can get a submission. And if he does get the submission, he's going to score high. So I'm going to play some Mearshark. And then Kennedy Njoku, he's a live dog, of course, 7,800. I think he can. The path to victory I see is him outpointing Stosic here to a decision. I don't really see him scoring high. I don't see him knocking him out. But he is a live dog. And then Clay Guida, 7,300. A play I'm going to be on a decent amount here due to his price tag and the lines closing so much. I think he can win a volume-based decision. It's going to be kind of tough because it is in Jim Miller's backyard. But I can see him doing it. I can see him getting the volume there. I can see him scoring close to 70 points, 75, maybe 80 points at the most. I don't think he take down upside. I see a striking match there. So, and then my next live dog is Miranda Granger, 7,400. I think she's going to be pretty low owned. Like I said, I didn't look into this fight initially, but I did a little bit more, and I do like Granger a little bit. If she can wear down Goldie here and eventually get her to the ground, I think he can be over shortly after. So if she can put on that pressure and pace, eventually get her to the ground, I think there's going to be a lot of upside for her at 7,400. I think she can get a submission. She hasn't never been to decision, so I think this is going to be a fight you're going to want to target.
All right, and do you have any pump plays? I know you said you like Silva.
Yeah, my pump plays, Joaquin Silva, 7,100. He has knockout upside. He has submission upside. If he can get this to the ground, he can possibly get a submission. He hits very, very hard. And I think it's going to be a pretty popular pump play. I've seen a couple people talking about him. And I do like him quite a bit. I would not play him in cash because it is boom or bust. But I do like him in GPP. He's probably going to be around 25-30%, somewhere in there, in that range. But I do like Silva, and I think he's a great play. And then my next pump play is Robbie Lawler. You can never count him out. If he does win, it's going to be by knockout. And if he does win by knockout and you don't have him, you're going to be screwed. So I'm going to have Robbie Lawler probably around 30%, maybe 40%, but that's pushing it because I do like Covington so much. But yeah, if he does win, he's gonna knock the cap off his 7,200 price tag. So I'm gonna have a little bit of him as well.
All right, do you have any fates? Just someone you're absolutely not playing this weekend?
Yeah, I'm fading Barella there at 8,700. I think she's gonna win. I'm gonna bet her, but I don't think she's gonna score high in DraftKings. I don't think she's gonna get a knockout. She has no takedown upside. Maybe one takedown, something like that, but nothing crazy. I can see her scoring 60, 70 points, and she's 8,700. I'm just not interested at all. And then I'm fading Ma, 6,900. I think he's going to get knocked out by Holtzman. And then as a whole, I'm probably going to fade the Pudilova Shevchenko fight. Not really too high on the Matt Schnell Espinoza fight. Maybe a little bit of that, but I'm also fading the Barella and Lauren Murphy fight altogether.
All right, cool. Then let's get into... No, we still got some questions. So who is the most underpriced fighter in your opinion?
The most underpriced fighter is going to be Trevin Giles. Like I said, if he won his last fight, you'd probably see him in the 9,000s here. So we're getting a decent discount here. I do think he has that knockout upside. And when he does win, it's usually by knockout, and he usually scores very high. So that's what I'm looking for here. I'm looking to take a little bit of a risk here. And I'm banking on him to stay on his feet and knock out Mearshark. Mearshark has nothing for him on the feet. So if he can just stop some of his takedowns and keep us on the feet, I think he has definitely has knockout upside.
Yeah, I'm looking at our model, and we actually have him as one of the highest values on the entire slate. So nice that you agree with that. So who is the most overpriced fighter in your opinion?
Overpriced fighter, probably Barella here at 8,700. I'd like to see her more in like the 8,200, 8,300 range. There's no way I'm paying 8,700 for her. Like I said, I think she's going to score around 60, 70 points in a striking based decision with no takedowns or anything like that. And she has no knockout upside. So it's just a really ugly play there at 8,700. I'd rather go down and get Giles. I'd rather go up and get Covington. So she's just in that range where I'm not really interested in her at all, and I'd rather play elsewhere.
Yeah, you've been ragging on her a lot, so I don't think I'm going to be interested in her either. So who is your top 5 to go over 100 points?
Top 5 to go over 100 points?
Yeah, just rank them.
I'm going to go Colby Covington at number 1, Scott Holtzman number 2, give me Giles number 3. I'll probably put Stoshik number 4 if he gets that knockout, and then I'll go Silva number 5 when he gets that first round submission if he does get that.
All right, and then let's get on to my personal questions that I have just for you, which I'm sure the listeners have as well. So to start us off, in cash games, who is going to be the highest owned fighter that I absolutely need exposure to?
Usually I'd say somebody in the main event, but I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm going to go Colby Covington. I think he's going to be probably the highest owned player in cash. I do think Robbie Lawler is going to be pretty high owned as well, but I do see Covington being up probably in the, I'm going to say 70% range this week. I'm not going to go any higher than that because I do think quite a bit of people are on Lawler. So I think, yeah, I think it's going to be highest owned. I think you're probably going to want him in cash for sure, unless you take the Lawler route. But if you take the Lawler route and fade Covington in cash, if Covington wins, you're pretty much screwed there. So I'm going the Covington route. I'm going to play him in cash for sure. And as for playing Lawler in cash, I'm not sure yet, but I do know I'm playing Covington for sure.
Okay, I just realized I skipped a question on the doc. So I just want to talk about how roster construction should look this week. Are we talking stars and scrubs, or more of a balanced lineup, or what do you think is going to be optimal?
Well, unlike the last couple of weeks where you've been having to go deep into the underdogs, I think you can go more of a balanced approach this week. There's not really anybody in the 9,000s you really honestly have to play. Maybe Covington. But I do think there's a lot of value in the 8,000 mid range there, like Giles, Stoshik, even like Espinoza, guys like that. So I think you can go a little bit in the mid range there, and then also maybe play an underdog like Mickey Gall or Guida, or even Silva there at 7,100. So I think lineup construction is going to be pretty easy. You could possibly put 200 dogs in a lineup and work your way up there, or you can maybe do a punt Silva there. And then I'm pretty sure if you punt Silva at 7,100, you can probably play whoever you want. And then also you could probably try doing a Covington, Holtzman lineup, something like that. I'm probably going to have a lot of lineups with Covington and Holtzman, and then somebody in the mid range, and then maybe a punt and an underdog, something like that, or maybe 200 dogs. But I think it's going to be a lot easier than the past couple weeks, and I'm very happy about that because the past couple weeks have been pretty tough to make lineups. So I'm excited to be able to make lineups a lot simpler this week.
All right, and then the next question I have is in GPPs, who's someone that may go under the radar that you'd want to be overweight on from the field?
That's going to have to be Officer Trevin Giles for me, 8,500. I can see this as under 20% here. I think a lot of people are on Mearshark, so I can see Mearshark being probably 30, around 30%, and then Giles a little bit under 20 here. I think he's going to go underlooked here, and I can see him if he does win, and if he does win by knockout, he's going to be a must-have, and he's going to be in the winning lineup for sure. So I'm going to have a good share of him.
All right, and then in your opinion, who has the potential of being the biggest upset of the card? So who could ruin those parlays for you?
I know he's not going to ruin my parlays because I did not parlay hack Perast. But I'm going to say Silva. I think this line should be a lot closer, so there's no way I put hack Perast in a parlay. But I do think Silva is going to upset a lot of parlays if he does get that the knockout or submission. And I think it's very, very likely. So I'm going to have a decent amount of Silva. And then I guess you can say Lawler could ruin a lot of parlays as well. But I hope that doesn't happen because I'm probably going to have Covington in 1 or 2 parlays. So that'd be really bad for me.
Okay, hopefully that doesn't happen then. So which chalk fighter is most likely to bust? And for those of you who don't know what chalk means, it just means high ownership.
Which chalk fighter? I'm gonna have to say. Okay. I'm gonna say hack Perast again. I think he's gonna be decently owned, and I do think do think he can bust for sure and lose. So I think it's gonna be pretty chalky. I'm gonna play a decent amount of them, even though I think there's a chance he's gonna lose because if he does win, there's a lot of upside. So I think other people are gonna look at that and see there's a lot of upside. There's a lot of pace, and I think there's a lot of volume there. So I think he's going to be pretty chalky a little bit. And then if he does win, yeah, I think he's going to hit value. But I do think he definitely has the potential to bust.
All right, and who will you be heaviest on this week in just all formats, cash and GPP?
I'm going to try to be heaviest on Scott Holtzman. And then as much as I can, get him as much lineups as I can. And then other than that, I'm probably going to be highest on Covington, probably around 60 to 70%. And then another guy I'm going to be high on is Trevin Giles. Probably not going to go past 50% because it is a risky play, but maybe up in the 40% range, somewhere like that.
Okay, and who will you be the lightest on compared to the field? And after listening to you talk for a while, I feel like it's going to be hack Perast, but if I'm wrong, let me know.
I might be a little underweight to hack Perast. I'm still going to make sure I have exposure to him because I do think he can definitely hit value there. But underweight I'm probably going to be a little bit underweight on the 2 underdogs that are going to be pretty popular, Kenny and Jeku, and then Gerald Mearshark. They both have good chances to win, but I think they're going to be very chalky, and I'm not picking them to win. So if both those dogs, Mearshark and then Jeku, lose, that's probably 60% combined ownership there, and I'm looking really good if I don't play as much of the field there because I do think they have a great chance of losing, and I do think the other guys are going to score a lot more and at lower ownership.
All right, actually, that's going to do it for the entire episode. I hope this was helpful for you guys. I don't really know anything about UFC, but I feel pretty ready for the weekend. I think Andrew did a very good job breaking all that down for us. And if you want access to the extra content, again, it's in the link in the description below on YouTube. It's the link to the Patreon. You can get access to the cheat sheet, Slack chat, target sheet, all that good stuff. Example, cash game lineup, which has been insane, cashing at an insane rate this season, above 85%, I believe. And you can also follow us both on Twitter. I'm at ChrisPennell16. Andrew is at @nut_DFS. And I will let Andrew say any last words if he needs to.
Yeah, guys, I'm very excited for this card. Make sure you guys sign up for Patreon. The link will be in the description. Like Chris said, to get the cheat sheet, to get all the stats, to get the projections, my targets page, which I do update throughout the week, so it's very important to make sure you guys get on that. And I do add some plays in there. I do take some plays away. Line movements and weigh-ins really influence some new picks on there. So make sure you guys check that out. And then my cash lineup, it cashed like 10 weeks in a row, which is absolutely insane. I was up to like a 91% cashing rate, and then it did just barely miss out on cash last week. So yeah, make sure you guys sign up. It's a new month, so I'm very excited for this month. Hopefully we go 4 for 4 in the cash lineup. That'd be awesome. That's what I'm expecting. And started off good this week. And then also you get the lineup percentages, so you see who I'm high on and not so high on. And then my bets, I do have a bet posted in there, a pretty decent sized bet. It's a nice little parlay in there. So make sure you can check that out. I'm going to also post probably 1 or 2 more bets on there. Like I said, there are a couple fighters on here that I do like, and I am going to bet rather than play them on DraftKings. And yeah, make sure you guys, if you are on the Patreon and you guys are not in Slack chat, make sure you guys tell me or Chris so we can get you guys in Slack chat, because there are a lot of important messages in there and a lot of important things in there, and it's also good to talk with the other guys and see what everybody's feeling, and you guys can ask me questions and whatnot. So make sure you check that out, and you guys can follow me on Twitter, _DFS. I will be posting a couple videos on my channel, ThunderNutDFS. I'll be posting a prediction video for the main card and the prelims, and then also a slideshow just going over more of my plays, and that's about it.
Yeah, and for that Slack chat, it's really awesome. You guys are having a lot of fun in there on fight nights. I think that's just worth the price of admission anyway. And also for Patreon, it's really the best time to sign up because Patreon charges at the beginning of the month, so you're getting a maximum value as it is August 2nd. Well, it's August 2nd now, but yeah, this is the time to sign up. So anyway, that's going to be it for the video. Remember to leave a like, or the podcast, I should say. But anyway, if you could leave a like, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell. Really appreciate that. Subscribe to Andrew as well. And we will see you guys on the next episode.